That's right. Good afternoon, Jeff Dawson from a partly cloudy Dallas, Texas. Yes, it's November 8th, 2022. And if you haven't voted, go out and vote. Vote for the candidate that you think is going to do the best job, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or Independent. I actually saw one Independent on the ballot that I voted for. So that was a little different. But get out and vote. And I used to have 16 subscribers, but YouTube made a change. Shocking but true. And I lost them all. So I've got a new channel. And of course, you can't get a hold of YouTube for any type of technical support. That's just a waste of time. I mean, these are the same people that eliminated my book trailer for Occupation for no reason, got no email, just when all that wokeness crapola broke out back in 2020. And they started purging accounts. They didn't ask. They didn't look. They must have just seen words and said, oh, that's got to go. That's got to go. You know, vampires versus Third Reich. That's what the book's about. That's what the cover's about. That's what the trailer's about. And they banned it. You know, I have definitely been on the end of censorship for quite some time. So I'm not going to say this is the most important election because every cycle we hear it. We have been, ever since we got all of this cable news crapola, and I've talked about this before with CNN, they were the first, they were the best, and then Fox came along, and then they all just started, well, we all need opinion hours. I mean, it is creating a bunch of jobs. Let's not overlook that fact, but we're not getting news. I don't know what we're getting. It's not even entertainment. I mean, the circus is more entertaining than what we see now. And of course, all of these networks for the last months have been making their predictions. Screw your predictions. That's like at the beginning of the baseball season. Well, I am predicting the Astros are going to win, or I'm predicting the Atlanta Braves are going to win. Well, that's just a bunch of crap. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. None. The only thing that was a given for a while when the Yankees were really strong was the Yankees would be in the playoffs or the New England Patriots would be in the playoffs. And that was about it. Who was going to win? Who knew? Nobody knew. It's like the Cowboys. I forgot the year, but they finally won a play. They finally got in the playoffs. They made it. They're going to play the New York Giants, and everyone was talking about how they were just going to bitch slap the Giants at Dallas Stadium. And what happened? The Giants bitch slapped the Cowboys. That's what happened. And the Giants went on to do the same to the Patriots and win the Super Bowl. Nobody saw that coming because halfway through the season, everyone in New York wanted Tom Coughlin fired because they were like 1-7 or 2-6. They're having a horrible year. They couldn't get it together. And then they caught fire. And look what happened. They won. So I need all of you that were subscribers, resubscribe. And I guess I'm going to have to change my, hell, I don't even know if I can put my picture on this. It's just, it screwed the whole thing up again. And for what reason? Nothing. Just because they could. It's like, so I lose all of that information that I had. I still have it. I can still access it. But it's like I'm starting over from scratch. And I'm so damn tired of doing that. But that seems to be the way things go. But vote. Get out and vote. If you don't vote, it's kind of like the lotto. If you don't play the lotto, don't bitch you didn't win. You didn't spend the $2. If you don't vote, don't bitch about whoever you wanted to win didn't win. Well, you didn't vote. And the way voting has gone lately, that old saying that one vote doesn't matter, you would be sadly mistaken. We are still very divided. And if you recall, Biden said he was going to unite us. He's done nothing to unite us. And those that say he hasn't, well, their first target is Fox. Fox's fault. It's Fox's fault. Well, if Fox has what did I see? They on their primetime shows, I think Carlson, Hannity, I can't stand either one of them. What are they drawing? 2 million viewers. And there's been on the average 70 to 75 million Republicans voting. Well, what does that tell you? Mathematically, it tells you that Fox isn't the big villain everybody wants them to be. They have more viewers than the competitors of MSNBC and NPR, who has no viewers, and CNN and blah, 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 and especially WGN. I don't know how they're staying on the air. And I'd really like to know what those sponsors are paying, because they've got to be looking at those numbers going, you want how much for a 15 or 30-second commercial? Yeah, no, we're not paying that. We'll pay you this. And that's it. You don't like that? Get another sponsor. Get another advertiser. Because we're not paying an outrageous sum for a company that is drawing, what, at their peak, 200,000? And I looked at Cuomo's ratings, and they're pathetic, absolutely pathetic. So he hasn't drawn anyone over from CNN. And if I saw right, they're paying him $1 million a year because he's still got his lawsuit with CNN for lost wages, which I hope he loses. Because their whole deal, I mean, the guy that did, oh hell, what's the show that got canceled over the wokeness stuff that was on, was it WGN that had it? And it wasn't Cops. What was that show? Because he was the executive producer of it. And they dropped it. Damn it. What was the name of that show? I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to, even on a live broadcast. Let's see. Police show that was canceled in 2020. PD Live. That was it. Live PD. That was it. For what? What was it canceled over? I mean, they just showed, they show up on calls. They don't know if they're black, white, Hispanic, Indian, green, orange, red, pink, yellow, fuchsia, male, female, binary, which I'm not even going to get into that crap. They just show up and they go after criminals. But I guess it must have been too dark for the woke crowd out there, and that this isn't right. This isn't right. Now I'm going to share this on Facebook, but if you subscribe to the old channel, subscribe to this one. And it's a green dot with a J in it. I haven't put a picture up there because I'm still trying to see if I can get this switched back to my old account, or if I just got to start over. But the old one's still there. So at least all that content wasn't wiped out. It was kind of like, the QAnon group. Well, I didn't have a problem with all that going by the wayside because those people were just nuts, absolutely nuts. Where we go one, we go all. That was just a bunch of crap. And somebody made a whole lot of money. Whoever set up the QAnon organization made millions and millions of dollars. And I have a few friends that were contributors to us. Like, are you kidding me? Do you know what you're supporting? Do you know what the money's going to? No, they didn't have a clue and they didn't care. Just like BLM, how's that working out? Yeah, they've kind of fallen off to the wayside. So I wonder how all those big executives feel that were pushing that bus uphill and all of a sudden it just rolled over their ass going, dumbass, dumbass, dumbass. You all should have been put on the short bus for supporting all that. It's just like I remember during the 2020 election, some of my liberal friends were talking about the Lincoln Project and how I would hate it. Well, yeah, I looked into it. Yeah, there was nothing stellar about that. But after the election, I really didn't keep up with it until HBO ran a documentary a week ago that I caught of what happened to the Lincoln Project. Well, what happens with organizations when there's tens of millions of dollars coming in? Fraud, corruption, embezzlement, laundering, all of it. And these people are talking and whining, especially this one white blonde chick. She just whimper, whimper, whine, whine, whine. And I'm looking at the houses they live in or the apartments, like these people aren't hurting. Not even close. And they made a whole lot of money conning a whole lot of people. And I like the one fat, bald guy that at the end of it, where he said Trump was going to sue him. Bring it, bring it. Oh, good Lord. What a bunch of crap. But then that's the way I feel about a lot of this stuff, that it's just crap. All right, BBS Radio. I gave until tomorrow to get subscribers. I'm still at 2. So barring some, miracle per se, or just a slew of subscribers all at once, I've got to get it up to where it pays for itself. And that's about $200 a month. And they've got various levels: $2.99, $3.99, $4.99. I think it's $5.99, $10.99, $49.99. It's what you think content is worth, because I really am the only rational person on their radio as far as programming goes. The rest of it, there's one guy that there is a subterranean culture at Area 51, and he's been down there, and they're giants and blah, blah, blah. And then you've got the guy that thinks he's a median for JFK and out of this world. And it's just the most bizarre stuff ever seen. It's like, what drugs are you people taking? So I try and give an honest take on politics, on news, on sports, on the whole 9 yards, keeping my opinions to a minimum. I'm not going to be like Cuomo, and I forgot who the other guy is on WGN. He was the producer of PD Live or Live PD about, well, at least you'll know what I think. I don't give two shits what you think, man. Just give me the facts. That's all I want, just the facts. I'll figure it out for myself. I don't care what you think. Now, if I'm sitting at a Waffle House having a cup of coffee, yeah, then I care. Unless you just go off on some bizarre tangent, and then I don't give a shit. That's just the way it is. But I might hold off until Friday to make the decision, but I like doing it. It's only twice a month. It's an hour and a half. It's good content. I will go through bills that people want to have knee-jerk pedia reactions over without reading it, which we saw with the Georgia voting law, and now they're having a record turnout. Yeah, how the kiss all those votes were suppressed. Texas's new law. I went over HR1. I went over all those bills that crazed gal in Houston, all of her gun laws, and we just go over it and review it. And then you make up your mind if you think it's a good thing or a bad thing. And I strongly would encourage people, hey, you want to talk about it? Read it, just like the Mueller report. Some of my conservative friends were asking me what I thought about the Mueller report. Well, I hadn't read it. Well, what do you think about it? I haven't read it. So what do you think about it? It's like, here, let me bitch slap you a few times. I haven't read it. And until I've read it, I'm not going to say a thing. Okay. But I read both IG reports and I read the Mueller report. And once I had disseminated it all, dissected it, analyzed it, there was no collusion on Trump with Russia. That was all made up. The only money that the Russians, for those that don't remember, how they were funding Trump and Putin, and Trump was Putin's puppet, blah, blah, blah. The Russians gave $1 million to Trump and $1 million to Bernie. But nobody wanted to talk about that $1 million to Bernie. $2 million. You think $2 million swayed that election? No, that was their involvement. And then we filed all these charges against Russian nationals that had left the country. Well, that was a waste. Now, the obstruction, that was the second part of the Mueller report. The obstruction, yeah, that got real close. And believe me, if I thought Trump had obstructed justice, I would have said, yep, he did. It's right there. See, here, right here. I wouldn't have cherry picked it. Just said, yeah, it's right there. Now, some of the things he wanted to do when he wanted, Jim Sessions, Pete Sessions. Is that right? I think it was Pete Sessions. When he wanted him reinstated, his people were saying, no. I mean, Donald wanted to pull some stuff that Nixon did with the Watergate tapping and break-in. But none of his people would follow through. They said, no, we're not doing that, including his son and his son-in-law. They said, no, we're not doing that. So they either ignored him or just said, yeah, we'll look into it, and did nothing. But that was, if anybody would have followed through, like reinstating Pete Sessions, yeah, that would have been bad. The whole thing would have been bad. Now, as far as election integrity, I believe in the system. It's always going to have flaws. But we're going to see, because I've still got the numbers, and I will post them tomorrow, especially Georgia. I still got the numbers on that Senate runoff with Warnock and Ossoff, and the Republican challenge. I still have those numbers. So it's going to be easy to match them up to see if more people voted or if more didn't. So now 2024, we're not going to know how that's going to shake out, obviously, until it does. But then I'll be able to match up those numbers for the presidential election in the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Those were the ones that were really questioned. And we'll see how that shakes out in 24. And we might get a precursor this evening in these governor races and some of the Senate and House races, just how many people came out. But it will be interesting to see. So if you haven't voted, vote. Go out. That way you can't bitch. If your person loses, hey, you did what you could. If your person wins, again, you did what you could. You supported them. And that's what it's all about, is supporting candidates. And this fear-mongering of democracy could end tomorrow is just a bunch of crap. My God, how do you think those people in the 1860s felt? Late 59, late 1850s and early 1860s, when democracy wasn't just on the line, the fate of the country was on the line, because England and France were just sitting over there waiting to see if they could swoop in and take the spoils that they thought they deserved. And that's why none of them really got involved in our Civil War, because they didn't want to be on the losing side. But they were hoping that if our republic didn't last and collapsed, especially Great Britain, that they might be able to come in and realign the southern states with them and say, hey, you want to be part of Great Britain, United Kingdom again? We'll take you on. Wouldn't that have been interesting? So if that was the case, then there wouldn't have been the Louisiana Purchase sale. It's things to think about. Do you want to be on the winning side or the losing side? So, I mean, there was so much at stake during the Civil War, and this is just another election. There are always pressing issues. Always pressing issues. I mean, that's what makes America great, is the divergence of opinions and which direction do you want the country to go, right or wrong? But it's been that way since they formed it. You think the founding fathers sat there and drank tea and didn't raise their voices? Go back and read some of the works from them. I had to do that in college. I forgot the name of the book, but the more platitudes a representative put on their opponent was basically telling them, I think you're just useless. They were insults, but when you read it, you really don't understand them. But that's how they spoke back then. They didn't like each other. They had the same problems we've got today. You've got different opinions, different thought processes. And that's just the way it is. And that's the way it'll be. You know, you can say that the country was united under George Washington. Well, then why was there a whiskey rebellion? Or that it was united under FDR. Well, a whole lot of Republicans didn't like him and his socialist program, and Henry Ford was one of the most outspoken. You know, Reagan, he had landslide victories, but there are a whole lot of people, and you see it in the press today, how much they hated Reagan. So if a candidate carries 75% of a district, well, that means 25% didn't like him. That's all there is to it. So if you think you're going to please all the people all the time, you are sadly mistaken. No one is ever, it's like a book. There is no book out there that has not gotten a bad review. And sadly, that includes the Bible. But there has not been a book written that people didn't like. You know, even if they were a New York Times bestseller, like 50 Shades of Grey, what a crap piece of work that was. Horribly written, horribly structured, but 50 million women didn't think so. And the author didn't think so because she's just raking it in. But the point is, there is no way everyone is going to like one person. It's just not going to be. You get in a room of 100 people, you get two people up there to give a speech, just pick a topic, give a speech, and take a vote and see who liked who. 98 people are not going to say they liked one speaker. It's just like when we went to war, there was one congressman that would not ratify going to war after Pearl Harbor. I forgot her name, but she was the only dissenting vote. And she was a Democrat. You can look that up. All right. Well, that's all I've got. It almost went to 22 minutes. But yeah, resubscribe to this channel. Just nuts. Get out and vote. And tomorrow we'll have an idea of who won which races. But I'm not going to sit up all night glued to the TV with all of their speculation, all of their predictions, all of this, all of that, because it's all a bunch of crap. And they're making a whole lot of money to feed you crap. Tomorrow we'll know, once all the precincts have reported. Now, it sounds like Pennsylvania, it might take them 3 more days because they want to make sure that people don't double vote. What a novel idea. Yeah, I think that's what's eventually going to be found out from 2020 how many double votes there were. Kind of like all the votes JFK got over Nixon from the bodies in Chicago cemeteries, but that's another story for another time. All right, y'all enjoy your evening, vote, and then go out and do something. If the weather's good, go to the park, go to a restaurant, get out of the house, turn off the TV, and enjoy your life. Talk to you later.